Hey folks, my name is Pravus, and welcome to more Plague Inc. Evolved with our official Scenarios Mega Brutal Guide series in the new Aliens and Anti-Vaxxers DLC. And this is the last of the new scenarios. Zombies versus Earth. A melting glacier unleashes a forgotten nightmare. Greenland falls to the zombie hordes overnight. There is no virus, no cure, only the relentless march of the undead. Can they consume the world? This is a weird scenario. There is no disease at all. We are simply microing a zombie horde. And yet, this is actually one of the hardest scenarios to get a halfway decent score on out of all the official scenarios so far. It requires an uncomfortable amount of luck just to have a decent chance. Otherwise, you're probably just going to lose. So this one will take some attempts. It's also a long scenario, and I do apologize about that up front. Mega Brutal, Gloomy Condition, let's begin. So as I said, we're going to be starting off in Greenland. We have no choice in the matter. We're going to go ahead and pop these bubbles. Now we have to decide what we're going to do. Well, we're currently stuck on an island, so the first thing we should probably pick up is the Horde Instinct. You're familiar with this from the normal necrovirus. This is how we can move zombies from point A to point B. So if I wanted to say, hey zombos, go move over to Iceland, we could do something like that, and they'll start heading over this direction automatically. The other alternative, though, is to pick up something called the Infestation, and this is actually a better pickup. What it's going to do is it's going to mark a country where you want the zombies to attack. And what they'll do is they'll automatically path toward that country using the fastest available route, devouring entire adjacent countries on the way. Now, that's actually a much better way to go than a zombie horde travel. I just wanted to show you how that would work. So let me just go ahead and do a quick restart here so I can show you why that's important. All right, we're going to be using the mark for pretty much everything, because rather than send just a few dozen zombies, why not mark a country, like let's say Norway over here, and the entire zombie horde is going to pack up and move over here toward Iceland. That seems like a much better way to go, don't you think? I think so. We'll also pick up Drifting Fermentation, which will speed up our ocean travel, and that can be nice for us. I also want to grab things like Anaerobic Resuscitation, and we can start picking up a whole bunch of different symptoms which are going to increase our combat advantage or just general strength. Remember, typically, you want to have really high severity or strength as the zombies. That's what's going to determine how effective they are against something like ZCOM. I also want to pick up something like Vampiric Hunger, just because we can create more zombies that way, and the larger our hordes are, generally speaking, the better off we're going to be. Going to go for Hyperosmia as well, another combat advantage, more severity. Faster killing, faster zombie conversions, just generally speaking, the best way for me to go. Could also pick up something like Autolytic Decay, which is going to reduce this rate of decay for the zombies, so they stick around a lot longer. I'll also want to go for a Predatory Cortex at some point, but this will be helpful. Again, I'm just trying to preserve the size of my horde. What can happen is you find as you're traveling around the world, you basically just decay before you can reach the last countries, and that's a good way of losing the game, which feels really bad, so I don't recommend going down that route. Try to go a little bit faster. We're going to pick up Predatory Cortex. This is important to pick up before you get to Norway. Allow zombies to push across borders into neighboring countries. It's not a very high land transmission rate, but every extra country you can get into is going to give you a really big advantage. Why? Well, because any second now, ZCOM is about to fire off. They are your true enemy. Destroy ZCOM, and you basically win the scenario. The problem is, ZCOM is very prolific, and they will be setting up bases all over the dang place. If you are not fast or lucky, they may spawn in entirely different continents, and you're not going to be able to get to them very quickly, so by the time that we do reach, let's say, Spain and the USA, they've got like 12 more bases around the world. This is already what I would consider to be a failed run, because it's simply going to take too long to reach these. I mean, I probably could, but it would suck, so I think it'd be better at this point just go ahead and restart, and pray we get something a little bit better. Now, I suppose one thing you could do is try using the horde travel to like get out of places like Iceland, and just reach some of these other continents the old-fashioned way. And that might be enough to just kind of give you a slight foothold in a couple different continents, so if you have to set up some additional hordes, you can do things like that. May not even be a bad idea. I'm gonna experiment. This is actually something I haven't done before, but I just had the thought. It might actually be worth it. Instead of going for a couple of these different upgrades, I think that might actually be better. Because it's not a lot of zombies. It's just enough to start infecting a region. That's all that I really care about. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and grab the Adrenal Surge. We're gonna see what happens here with, okay, Korea and Italy for our ZCOM. That might be acceptable, maybe. I'll try to make that one work. Not exactly ideal. So now that we've reached Norway, what I can do is go here to abilities and we can cleanse the infestation. So it's a free way of just clearing the mark. And I'm going to say my next mark is going to be in a place like China. Why? Well, because what you probably want to do is start finding the fastest route to get to the largest population centers possible, and that's going to be India and China. China, you should only have to go through Russia to get to. India takes a little bit more. So this is the fastest way to get a large horde that I can use to do a lot of other good stuff. In the meantime, let's make sure we upgrade that predatory compulsion again, because I want to have a chance of spreading into adjacent countries. It would be nice. Certainly not a guaranteed thing to happen, but I mean, hey, you know, a guy can certainly dream. And then beyond that, we want to get as much combat advantage and severity on our zombies as possible. I mean, even though we are in a hot country like Morocco, which is typically a terrible place for your zombies, we are still infecting the population pretty severely, which is going to be great. So let's try to get things like the dermal calcification and so on. New base being set up. One thing I would like to do is just go ahead and send some guys over here to Brazil. Now they set up a base right next to where I'm currently present, so that's nice. I'm just trying to get into some other continents. Make this a little easier in case we can head off ZCOM at some point in the future. That's all I'm trying to do. So your goal, like I said, destroy ZCOM. Do that, and the world literally will become infected, and they'll all just turn into zombies. Because at that point, once ZCOM is done, the game knows there's nothing else that can technically stop you, so they might as well just hand you the victory on a silver platter. That's what they're trying to do. By the way, they just set up ZCOM here in Brazil. Well, that's unfortunate because they might be able to kill my zombies. At the same time, we have a pretty good amount of strength for this stage of the game, so maybe not. Maybe they'll be fine. Let's go ahead and pick up mummification. This greatly reduces the zombie decay rate, especially in hot countries like Africa, which is something I'm going to need. Remember, as we are infecting Russia, very soon, once this is fully eaten, they'll automatically move over here to China. So I'm not worried about them right now. What I may want to do, though, is go ahead and just keep sending a couple extra zombie hordes into places like, let's say, the United States. Like, let's just keep that moving a little bit. This is typically how I would normally play the zombies. Is just trying to aggressively use the horde instinct to just move into a bunch of different adjacent countries so that it's very easy for us to kill ZCOM later on. It's kind of the same idea. Now, the problem is you're wasting DNA doing that, so maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not. One thing we could also do, by the way, we'll go ahead and pick up things like neural convergence and what is this? Chemotactic sensitivity. What this does is makes your autonomous hordes faster. All right, not your regular hordes, just the ones that are automatically moving. So these guys are going to finish up in Russia, and now they're going to make a beeline directly for China, and they're doing so at a faster rate. There is one downside to using this mark, which is that your zombies can only see so far. If it's a really far destination, they won't even try. So you'll have to pick up something like olfactory amplification to increase the autonomous distance and make that work, but that's probably fine. So let's go ahead and keep focusing on more strength. I want to grab things like the anabolic boost next, probably. ZCOM grows stronger in Korea. We are currently beating them down here in Brazil, though, which I think is great. They are setting up in Southeast Asia. Okay, no big deal. Let's go for this here. So we should definitely be able to win in Brazil now, unless they go for a really, really big upgrade, which they probably won't. We'll go for the peptide search and the lumbrical hypertrophy. Again, just lots and lots of combat advantage. They spread into places like India. That's actually phenomenal for me. That means we're going to go for a very big population there. We could try to set up some zombies in places like Korea. I don't mind trying to see if we have a chance at maybe starting to build up a slight foothold there. I don't expect it to go very far. Let's go ahead and also set up in these two ZCOM areas. Again, just trying to maybe start kickstarting the process. And maybe I don't even have to worry about moving the entire horde here. Depending on how well we're doing, we could start moving the horde over to places like Italy and stuff instead and fight there. Or we could just kill ZCOM faster than they can set up less bases. I mean, that's also a perfectly valid strategy for us to go for. Let's go from a sticatory tension. Again, just increasing all the stats across the board, getting into places like Mexico for free. I'm going to go ahead and set up in a place like the Caribbean so we don't have to worry about ZCOM setting up a base there. My first time trying to do this scenario, I got unlucky, and they basically set up a ZCOM base in almost every single nation in the world, which you can imagine I found very unfortunate. So China's fully infected. That means it's time to move on to a new infestation target. How are we looking at a couple places? We did not finish Korea, so let's just go ahead and set up one over there. By the way, if you get confused because you placed this down while the game was paused after you just did this, don't be surprised when the thing automatically goes away. Like, you just can't do it. You have to unpause real quick, then place it, and you'll be fine. So now we're going to have 1 billion zombies invade Korea all at once. That's nice. Let's go for the olfactory amplification, because I think we're going to end up needing it. And we go for things like some extra inhibitions and stuff. Let's just go ahead and start increasing the number of zombies that we are able to get. Places like Egypt are now getting infected. We are still spreading in Southeast Asia and in India. That's looking good. So ZCOM is going down relatively quickly. Is Korea done? It is. is, so I want to set up an infestation here in Italy. I don't know they're going to reach that far. We could try anyway. Let's go for the synaptic resonance and see if I can place this down and have it automatically pop up. Are they going to move that direction? It does not look like it. Here's the fun thing, though. The infestation doesn't have to work. Oh, I never cleared this one. Whoops, never mind. Hang on. Let's get rid of the billion zombies. There we go. Set up another one over here. Here's the cool thing, though. You don't have to have just the main horde traveling around. It tries to draw in all the zombies from everything nearby. So all these zombies that were currently in northern Africa just rushed up over here into Italy. So that's taken care of. It's now humanity's last stand. We're going to be finishing up here in Southeast Asia. I'm going to go ahead and do a clear here and just move this infestation. Maybe we can get down here with a billion zombies just to speed this process up before they can go for a new base. There we go. ZCOM has been destroyed. All right, that was it. With the military in total collapse, there's nothing left to stop them, which means the game is about to literally just infect everything for me, no matter where it was. Doesn't matter what the island is, everything's going to turn into zombies super duper fast. Let's go ahead and collect all that beautiful DNA, and I'm just going to spend it. But we don't have to buy anything else under any of these abilities. I don't need to go for hypersalivation or any of this stuff. They're just fun. They're just fun things to have. Let's go for a lot of extra decay rate and stuff for our zombies. Keep as many around as possible. I don't know if that affects the score. I don't remember how score is calculated on this one. If I were the kind of nerd who would do things like that, then, you know, I'd probably be able to answer that question. But I can't. So we're just going to sit back and kind of enjoy. Now, what's going on in Saudi Arabia? They are taking a long time to get infected for some reason. We'll go ahead and reduce the starvation speed for my zombies so they stick around a lot longer. Just waiting for critical mass here in Saudi Arabia, and then I think we're going to win. That's it, though. Like, half the world just became zombies just like that because there's no ZCOM left. There we go. Gloomy condition has destroyed humanity. That was not so bad, in my opinion. That was not a half-bad turnaround for that scenario, but it was still only 2 stars, 591 days. And that's partly because this opening segment of the game just takes a while. There might be some ways to mess with this. Just go ahead and send lots of zombie hordes. Don't worry about microing just one. Instead, just like send the zombies out in lots of different directions right off the bat from Greenland. And then whenever a ZCOM base pops up, say, hey, cool, I'll just go ahead and pop that as an infestation and let everyone collapse on it one at a time. That's probably the only way that you're going to be able to do this. Otherwise, if you want to just kind of move around one zombie horde at a time, you can do that, and you'll have like 3 billion zombies. But again, they will decay very, very quickly, and if you don't defeat ZCOM quickly, then you'll have to destroy every single country manually. And that is boring, and nobody likes that. Otherwise, it's a very fun scenario. It's an extremely unique scenario. But yeah, it feels like it's really hard to get a good score on this one. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful as you engulf the world in a zombie nightmare. And that is the end of our official scenarios with this DLC. If you guys found this helpful, of course, I would ask that you hit that like button. Leave a comment with some other stuff you might like to see in Plague Inc. For example, all the secret endings with the Xenolith. That's something I'm planning on releasing sometime pretty soon as well. But of course, I have other games to play beyond just Plague Inc., so I'm going to be going ahead and taking a small break, doing a few of those, and then we will come back to it. Be sure to subscribe if you do want to see that future content, because I like to say, a lot of the stuff I do, it's pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good. Pop in the Discord if you have any questions, and I will be happy to help. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.